Thilwen Moonbeam, Elf Sorceress, Scholar, True Neutral. 13 HP, Perception, +1. Speed, 30 feet. 12 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 12 Constitution, 16 Intelligence, 6 Wisdom, 16 Charisma. Languages: Common, Elven, Celestial, Abyssal, and Sylvan. Saving throws: Trained in Fortitude, +4. Trained in Reflex, +5. Expert in Will, +3. Attacks: Trained in Simple Weapons, Trained in Unarmed Strikes. Defense: Trained in Unarmored Defense. Skills: Trained in Occultism, Trained in Academia Lore, Trained in Intimidation, Trained in Arcana, Trained in Religion, Trained in Nature, Trained in Diplomacy, Trained in Library Lore. Aberrant Bloodline. Spells: +6. Spell attack, DC 16. 5 cantrips. Those cantrips are Daze, Guidance, Chill Touch, Telekinetic Projectile, and Sigil. One of them is an arcane cantrip because of her elven ancestry feat. First level spells, 3 of them: Spider Sting, Phantom Pain, Grim Tendrils. And a focus spell from the Aberrant Bloodline, Tentacular Limbs. Feats: Ancestry Feat, Otherworldly Magic. Skill Feat: Assurance, Occult Skill. She is a Seer Elf, which means she can detect magic at will, and she gains a +1 to checks to identify magic. She has 5 gold pieces, 5 silver pieces, 9 copper pieces. She owns a dagger. She has a backpack, a bedroll, a dress, the Necronomicon, a writing set, and extra ink and paper. 0 bulk. And I've realized now that her skills are not filled out, so I will fill those out very quickly. Occult, I gotta get the book out. This is it's a new thing, so I don't know exactly what all the skills are. I got my things already in there, so I can flip to skills and go right to it. So occultism, trained. Occultism is intelligence. She's trained in it, so 2 plus her level, which is 1, so 3 plus her intelligence, which is 16, so +3, so that's a +6. +6. Academia Lore, which I believe is also intelligence, it is, so that's also a +6. Intimidation, which is charisma, which is also +3, so that's also a +6. There was one edition where it was either the base how it was or a feat where intimidation was based off of strength and not charisma. I think it may have been a feat in like 3rd edition or something. So it would also be in the 1st edition of Pathfinder. Arcana, that is intelligence, so that's a +6. Religion, I believe that's also intelligence. No, it's wisdom. So what's her wisdom is 6. So that's -2. So her total bonus is +1. Nature is wisdom 2, I believe, so that's also a +1. Diplomacy is charisma, so that's +6. Library lore, intelligence, so that's +6. Library lore is a extra skill that she got somehow. I don't remember how. So basically, this character is not one of my characters. It's my sister's one of my sister's characters. The story behind this character is that she was a librarian. She worked in a giant library which has all kinds of books in it. And she has And the fact that she has a 6 wisdom is important to the character because she has short-term memory loss. She's very aloof and absent-minded. Um, so she sometimes wanders around the library and doesn't really remember what she's doing a lot of the time. So one day, she's wandering around the library and she finds this strange book in one of the shelves, the dark and dusty shelves full of cobwebs in the dark corner of the library. And she opens the book, and the book is in a strange language that she can't read. So she takes the book, and she every night or every day she goes through and tries to work out some of the stuff that's written in the book. And this book, which is why on her character sheet I have the Necronomicon listed. It's not technically the Necronomicon, but it's basically what it is. It's sort of because this character was originally a fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons character, which was a warlock, and in warlock, the warlock's magic comes from some other entity, some mysterious entity that gives the character the powers. And one of the entities that you can have, they called it your patrons. One of the patrons that you can have is the Great Old One, which is basically Cthulhu. And so Ithilwen, the character in fifth edition D&D, was had the Great Old One as her patron. And so the idea was she had the Necronomicon, and she was kind of like translating it and reading it, and that was giving her these strange magical powers. And the fact that she was so aloof and had such a short attention span was what was keeping her from going insane by reading the Necronomicon, because she wouldn't really focus on it too much. That's the idea of the character. So I just sort of adapted it into the Pathfinder second edition rules. They don't have a warlock like they do in 5th edition, but they have the sorceress and they have the different bloodlines. And one of them is the aberrant bloodline, which sort of says that your powers come from some sort of weird alien entity, which is basically the same thing. And a lot of the spells kind of have similar things, like a lot of the Old One spells in 5th edition were these sort of weird, like mind altering, sort of tentacle spells that sort of fucked with your mind and made you die. And excuse me, I found some spells that were kind of the same. My favorite one that she has is Phantom Pain, which basically the you do it on an enemy, and the enemy makes a saving throw, probably a will save, and if they fail, they take like 2d4 damage, and they get an effect on them for a while, a dazed effect. It's not dazed, but it's something like that. There's a lot of effects in this game. A lot of them sort of do similar things, but they get sort of a mind effect on them, and then every turn they take an extra d4 damage, and then until they save. So that's sort of that's my favorite spell that I found for her. It sort of fits in really well with how the character was in 5th edition. So yeah, that's Ithilwen Moonbeam, overview of the character and a little bit about her.